I'm Scott Allen Miller, and this is my everyday life living in Leon, Nicaragua. Today, KLTK asked on the community, if I was coming to Nicaragua and only bringing one pair of shoes, what should I bring? That's a good question. So we're going to talk a little bit about footwear for coming to Nicaragua today. Of course, this is a difficult topic because I don't think about my footwear all that often, and it's been a long time since I had to travel with just one pair of shoes coming to Nicaragua, but I think I do have some decent input. So we're going to talk about footwear planning for Nicaragua right after the bump. Some of my audience know from some older videos, I have a size 14 foot, and finding footwear here in Nicaragua is, well, impossible. No one sells anything above a 13, including custom footwear that is built here. They don't have the molds or the forms for making a size 14. So I can't even have custom shoes made here. I have to order everything in from abroad. So I'm one of those people that is challenged by this. And I actually talked to someone recently who has I think size 16, absolutely unbelievably difficult to find footwear for them. But in general, if you have a normal size foot, you'll be able to find something, but it may be a little bit difficult. Most of the expats have larger feet than the average Nicaraguan, so you're almost always buying in the large sizes. So plan ahead that purchasing shoes here in country one is often not super cheap. You may not spend a ton, but you're not going to be coming down and getting footwear deals or anything like that. You're normally going to pay a little bit more than you would coming from wherever is home, and finding footwear that you want may be difficult. Not impossible, but could be difficult. And many of us who live here follow that process of, if you know what you're doing for shopping, you often know to shop online for certain products, laptops being a great example, and shoes often being a great example. So for a lot of us, we're just ordering from somewhere in the United States or somewhere in China, something like that, and just having them shipped in for us. So that shoe shopping experience is slightly different, but you learn how to do it, and then it's the same cost as back home, just a slightly different process, and you get used to it. So that is just worth noting at the beginning. And before we go too far, I just want to remind people that we do have a Thursday night live stream. Awesome time to jump on and ask questions in real time, get to know each other in the community, just hang out and have kind of a party. We typically go for many hours. We will be doing it this Thursday, but we won't be doing it next Thursday on American Thanksgiving. Not because it's Thanksgiving, it is my daughter's birthday. I'm taking the day off to hang out with her. Yes, the one who just had her rabies shots. It is her birthday. She'll be turning 17. And yes, her name is Liesel. Yes, for those who know The Sound of Music, she is Liesel, 16 going on 17 this coming week. Okay. That said, just remember to join us on Thursday evenings. And if I was coming to Nicaragua and I'm not moving here, right? If you're moving here, you're going to want more than one pair of shoes. Duh. But if you are coming for a limited amount of time, or you need to come on vacation, or you're going to be doing a lot of activities, what should you bring? Now, this will vary by people, so you make your own adjustments. This is going to be very personalized to me and my feet and my activities and so forth, but I will do my best, right? So for me, just to get started, I'm going to give you my recommendation, and I'll explain why. So for me, as a man with large feet, and I do like the flexibility of going out and walking around, getting some exercise, I do want to be able to go to dinner, I do want to go shopping and do all those things, I would bring something like a hardy sport sandal. For me, that's a Tiva or someone like that, right? If you're familiar with that brand, that kind of gives you an idea of what you're looking at bringing. They got that sport sole, so you could really jog in them, and not that that's a great shoe for that, but you generally can. I mean, you can definitely go on hikes. You can go in the water. They're waterproof. They're pretty rugged, so you can just do things. But they're also a sandal, and a sandal is generally nicer than a sneaker. You can pair it with jeans or nicer shorts, and you're still going to be somewhat casual, of course, but you're able to go out and go to most restaurants and not feel out of place. I will end up at relatively formal functions in many cases wearing them, and because everything here in Nicaragua leans towards a lot more casual, the thing that you would want to do if you're trying to make that transition from a casual night out to a little bit dressier night out is bring a nice pair of jeans or some kind of slack with you. That's going to be the bigger factor. Here in Nicaragua, it is quite rare for people to start getting custom footwear for specific occasions, especially men. For women, of course, there's people who are going to have heels, they're going to have fancy shoes, and different things for different occasions. Obviously, women have a lot more clothing pressures or desires or options or whatever, but for the majority of men, your footwear is going to be of minimal importance under normal circumstances. So most activities, you're going to be just fine having a nice sandal. What you don't want to do is have that really loose, wussy sandal that's going to fall apart and not be able to go out for a hike, because you do have, even if you're in Managua, even if you're in Leon and Granada and you're just walking around in the city and you have no plans to go anywhere else, you do have those rough sidewalks. You do have that really just tough street walking to go everywhere. And there's lots of waterfronts, right? We've got 2 oceans, we've got lots of lakes, we have a lot of volcanic areas. Just a lot of times you're going to want a shoe that's a little bit hardy, even for activities that involve things very urban, right? Even if you're going shopping in the mall, you're going to do a bit of walking. So just be prepared for some of those things. And I think that type of footwear tends to work extremely well. So that's my recommendation. They're relatively light. Now, if you are going to be packing 2 pairs of shoes, right, you're going to wear one and you're going to pack one, the Tevas or something like that, right, the hardy sandals are perfect for packing because they're decently light under normal circumstances, and they collapse down. So you can fit those into a backpack. You could get them into the side pockets. And I do this a bit if I'm taking 2 pairs of shoes, because there are times that I want to have closed-toe shoes and I just want that extra flexibility. I'll wear those. Whether for most people they're going for some kind of hiking boot. I actually don't wear hiking boots, which will surprise a lot of people, but I actually have really strong ankles. Lots of other things are not strong, and I fall over, and many of you know I did tons of damage to my knee a year ago. This month, that was almost exactly a year ago, and it's still all scarred and everything. And I still feel it a little bit, right? Like I can definitely have situations where I'm going to fall over, but I don't sprain or break my ankles, except for that stampede incident 40 years ago. But so I don't worry about that, right? Even when I'm doing mountain hiking, I'm doing so in sneakers or Tevas. You don't want to do real hiking in Tevas, right? So be aware if you're going to do one of those, like climbing up the volcano to do volcano boarding, that type of thing, you're certainly going to want something more like a hiking boot. You're going to want really good support and no chance of it slipping off your foot. For me, I have had a number of times where sport sandals, I have been in a situation where the sole catches, and because you often are getting in water or whatever, that it's a little bit slippery, that my foot is on top of the sole and the sole stays and my foot slips, and it actually rips the sole off and flips it around, and so I end up falling because the shoe rips off of my foot while I'm walking. I don't lose my ankle, I don't break my foot, but I do ruin the sandal, and that's something that you might want to avoid if you're going to do mountain hiking. So if that's your plan, you do want to go up the volcanoes, which is a popular activity here, you're going to want probably a very sturdy hiking footwear. And then you're really going to do what I want to say. You're going to want to do what I said, where you wear those on the airplane and carry some sandals in your luggage under most circumstances. Unless you have checked luggage, you can have your stuff in that, of course. And then you'll want to have 2. But if I'm only bringing 1 for most activities, because I'm not normally doing things like climbing on a volcano, if I'm going to the beach, if I'm going to even places like Laguna de Apoyo, not a problem. You do not need a hiking boot there. If you're going to a lot of the general tours, you're going up to Matagalpa, you're going out to the cigar tours, you're going to the coffee tours, you're going into Granada and doing the colonial city tours, you're going around Leon, you're shopping in Managua, you're going out to most nice dinners. Very few people come to Nicaragua trying to find like really fancy food and really fancy, especially if you're like on vacation. This just isn't a place where that's one of those activities. Of course, if you live here, right, that will come up for us from time to time. Oh, we've got a wedding to go to. We have some formal event, of course, and we have different needs. But as someone who is just visiting, if I'm visiting Guatemala City, for example, it's very easy to end up in a situation, and this has happened, where I'm going to one of those listed restaurants, right? Like top 100 in the world, Michelin stars, those kinds of things. That's a place where those kinds of activities are relatively common and part of the cultural experience, because it's in that fancy food zone. But here in Nicaragua, we're not. And even our fancier restaurants, or some of the fanciest in the country, like Primitivo or the Amazon Resto Bar or Ahi, and places like that are quite fancy for Nicaragua, you can go in a nice sandal and you could get away with shorts, but you'd like to wear full pants for most of those. It's the full pants that makes the difference, and so you're not really being limited by that footwear in the way that you would feel in other places. So I will often pair the sandals with jeans and find that it is completely adequate for a night out on the town, no matter where we want to go. It's comfortable for walking around. I can walk all day and not feel fatigued. They are light, so you're able to walk more, and so you tend in Nicaragua to walk a lot, but not walk super hard, partially because of the heat and the sun. You're not like, hey, let's go like walk as fast and hard as we can. You'll overheat. In a lot of cases, you want to go a little bit more slowly. And most of our activities aren't in places that are super difficult for walking. Those mountain climbs, those volcanic mountain climbs being the typical exception. If you're going out to Ometepe, you're going to San Juan del Sur, there's very, very, very little that would make you concerned about having a heavier shoe. Of course, if you have the luggage space and can bring more than one pair of shoes with you, right? There are lots of reasons why someone might want to have some options, and I do use sneakers pretty often, tennis shoes. In many cases, I have a nice non-sporty looking pair of Skechers. You know, it's muted colors. They kind of look like a hiking boot. It fits into a decent looking category, doesn't look too unbelievably casual. And if I'm pairing that with pants, again, if I'm just wearing those with shorts, yeah, I look pretty casual. But if I'm putting that with on jeans, they kind of blend in. People don't look at your shoes nearly as much here as you may be used to in most places, even other places in Latin America, right? This is just a Nicaragua thing. Shoes just aren't the statement that they are in a lot of places. Yes, you can go out, and yes, lots of people will have nice shoes. People who live here and can have a pair of shoes just for going out to dinner. Of course, people do. And cowboy boots, very popular here as well. We're in that cowboy rodeo kind of area. So all of that culture exists here. People do custom boots and stuff, of course. But for the average tourist, most people are coming in very casual footwear. We're just a casual footwear kind of place. And you really won't find a region where you're going to go, well, Scott, I get that for most places, but what about if I was staying in this place? Ometepe, San Juan del Sur, Managua, Granada, Leon, Matagalpa, Esteli. Are any of those going to be an exception? No, absolutely not. None of those are an exception. And part of the reason is you're going to be warm much of the time, so having a little bit more airflow around your feet is going to be a positive thing. Having a little bit lighter, so you're not fatiguing, you're not lifting as much weight, is a really good thing. But you're going to be doing a lot of walking in almost all circumstances, even around the cities. So even if you're just going to Granada, you're just going to San Juan del Sur, and you're thinking, I'm not going very far, I'm not going to do any outside the city activities, you still have rough sidewalks, a little bit uneven roads, probably a lot of outdoor walking. People just go out and do things a lot, so that thicker, nice, comfy sole is going to make a pretty big difference. And also, many of the places you go have water, so having that option to maybe go walk on the sand without taking your shoes off, maybe go into the water. We have a lot of stingrays. You want to, help get some protection. These are good ideas to have something. Now, of course, if you're going to bring extra footwear, like I said, you got lots of things you can plan for, but that is the one footwear I would recommend. In most cases, it'll make a huge difference to your flexibility and not needing to carry a lot of extra things, but being able to get away with basically every circumstance. You'll be like, these are kind of the shoes that I wanted to have for this circumstance. And so they work out pretty perfect. So that's why I wear almost continuously. I have 4 pairs of basically the same ones, and it's maybe once or twice a month living here that I opt for a different pair of shoes. I do have fancy shoes here that I wear once in a while. I do have multiple pairs of tennis shoes that I will wear from time to time, but those added up is once every 2 weeks to maybe once a month max. Other than that, sandals all the time. Thanks for joining me. Like and subscribe. Thanks for the question. If you have your questions of your own, get down those comments and ask them there, or check out our episode notes. All the information is in there about how to reach me, how to find us on social media, how to send in videos of yourself with questions. And as always, remember to join us on Thursdays for that live stream, except for Thanksgiving that's coming up, and I will see all of you tomorrow.